Thank you so much, and thank you all for taking time to be here this afternoon on a very important occasion. I really think it's appropriate that Vermont, a cradle of freedom and liberty, would be the first to recognize the sacrifices that were made by so many. Because Vermonters understand what freedom is all about. Ours was the first place, after all, to abolish slavery, the first to grant all men the right to vote, regardless of their race. And of course, we've always answered the call when our nation has summoned us. This site, as we know, was chosen in large part for its location. And over the past 2 decades, since that dedication late in 1982, it's come to have an ever-deepening meaning for those who served and those who wish to offer their respects to our veterans. In the mid-90s, as we all know well, this place was planned for closure. But the strong, unified voice and advocacy of Vermont's Vietnam veterans kept it open. From those events emerged the vision to create what we're here today to rededicate. It was 1995 when the General Assembly passed a resolution to order the state to work with veterans groups to find a new location if necessary, or to continue this one in operation. In 2000, the legislature decided to create this Welcome Center and expand the Vietnam theme that was here before. Despite pressure on our budget, especially because of the neglected transportation infrastructure that uses those precious transportation dollars, we all agreed that this project would be a priority and see it to completion. So many of you were here, as I was, on Veterans Day of 2003 to participate in the groundbreaking. A very cold day, a very important one in the history of our state. Earlier this afternoon, less than 2 years after that time, with our partners from the federal government and many others, we celebrated the completion of this great facility. It's always risky to recognize individuals, but I think it important to take note of the leadership of some veterans who've been working so hard for so long to see this day come true. Buster Holmberg, Chuck Slocum, Bill Orr, Tim Beebe, Bob Rummel, and of course, the indomitable John Miner. I want to thank all the organizations that have been a part of this planning. The Vietnam Veterans of America, of course, our lead veterans organization. Norwich University provided support in organizing the displays. The professional staff at our Department of Buildings and General Services, especially Ray Rossi, who's with us today. Our Department of Tourism and Marketing, in particular Dick Foster. And of course, everyone at Tim Smith and Associates, the architectural firm that has done such a great job in presenting this place. It's the close working relationship between state agencies, veterans groups, and the architect that really made this happen. It's been a team approach, an example of how government can work together with other organizations in the private sector to get a great job done. We've been committed through our Veterans Advisory Council to doing what we can with the General Assembly's help to show our continued commitment to the veterans of our state. Consider those who are currently serving, those who've been lost, and those who will return and need our help. We've come to recognize that our country has learned to support our soldiers regardless of individual views on the war. So we're here today to rededicate this first-in-the-nation Vietnam Veterans Memorial. It's an especially fitting time to do so, to honor all those who've made the ultimate sacrifice in Vietnam and to those who served and survived. We're reminded now every day, with all too much frequency, that the price of freedom and our way of life comes at a great cost. The sacrifice of today's men and women in the military follow on the long history of sacrifice going back to our very first fight for independence. May we always remember in our hearts and minds those who served in the righteous cause of freedom. May we here today, as we rededicate this memorial of thanks to our Vietnam veterans, pay them a special tribute for their service in a far-off land, in a war that divided our nation, but those who served with honor, distinction, and great bravery. They didn't come home to marching bands, so we must never let ourselves forget their service. As we rededicate the memorial, let all those who served know that their nation and their state holds their service in great honor and that we're in their debt. So thank you to all whose efforts were so essential to getting us where we are today, this rededication ceremony. Thank you all for working to assure that the sacrifice and the memory of all those who gave their lives in Vietnam will be remembered forever. Thank you all very, very much.